Imagine the camera focuses on Chris Martin's face, the Coldplay frontman known for his bright smile and boundless energy on stage. But this time, there's something different in his eyes. Not an obvious sadness, but a mix of vulnerability, determination, and a glimmer of hope that refuses to fade. Behind the stage lights and roaring crowds that usually follow his name, Chris is finally opening a new chapter about a deeply personal story he rarely shares. And tonight we will hear his plans for the future after a breakup that shocked the world. Before we dive into the heart of the story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the hottest updates from the music world and the lives of your favorite stars. Because what you're about to hear tonight isn't just gossip. It's an honest confession that will make you see Chris Martin in a completely different light. Chris sits comfortably wearing his favorite gray sweater. The interview takes place in a warm, quiet room far away from flashing cameras. No stage effects, no pounding drums or strumming guitars, just the sound of a man speaking from his heart. Sometimes to truly find yourself, you have to be willing to let go of the person you love, he says softly, but with weight in every word. That sentence lingers in the air, urging us to wonder what he really means. It's no secret that Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson's relationship has been the subject of media fascination for years. The couple, who always seemed so in sync, managed to keep most of their romance private despite relentless paparazzi attention. But then came the news, an unexpected breakup that stunned fans everywhere. There were no major public signs, no heated scandals, which leaves everyone wondering, why did this relationship end? And more importantly, what's next for Chris? He doesn't answer with dramatic flair. Instead, he opens up slowly like a songwriter revealing the lyrics of a deeply personal song, one line at a time. I don't believe in the word finished, he says with a faint smile. Every goodbye is just a pause, not an ending, and this is where the tension builds. Does he mean a pause for a possible reconciliation or a pause before a completely new chapter begins? As the conversation continues, Chris shares details about upcoming music projects. Coldplay, the band he has led for over 2 decades, is preparing for what he calls the most personal journey in their career. Not just another tour, but an experience designed to connect people around the world through love and hope. And app. Music is how I heal myself, he says, glancing toward the window as if picturing the thousands of faces that will fill stadiums. But the topic of Dakota is unavoidable. Chris looks down for a moment before speaking. She's an incredible person. I just want her to be happy, whatever that path looks like. His voice softens here, almost trembling. And in that moment, it's clear, despite the breakup, the respect and affection remain woven into every word he says. Here's your teaser. Don't go anywhere. In the final part of this story, Chris will reveal a huge plan he has never shared publicly before, something that could completely change the way we see him, not just as a musician, but as a man determined to keep his heart whole. Chris goes on to explain that he's spending more time with his family now. His 2 children from his marriage with Gwyneth Paltrow are his greatest source of strength. I learn a lot from them, he says. They remind me that happiness is simple, and it doesn't always have to look perfect to others. Between his words, we see flashes of his career, stadiums glowing with lights, intimate acoustic sessions, and quiet backstage moments. All of it paints the picture of a man constantly balancing life between private reflection and the grand stage. This time, though, he's choosing to walk slowly, making every step meaningful. Then comes Chris smiles, this time a genuine, unrestrained smile. I have a dream I've held on to for years, he says. When the Coldplay tour ends, I want to create a place, a center for music and art, where young people can learn, express themselves, and find their own voice. Because at the end of the day, music isn't just about selling albums or filling arenas. It's about leaving a legacy. For a moment, the room is silent. You can feel that this isn't just an idea. It's something he's thought about for a long time. And here's the truth. Chris Martin doesn't see this breakup as the end of his story. He sees it as space to grow, create, and give back to the world. Before the interview wraps, Chris leaves one final message that feels like it pierces straight through the screen. Love the people who come into your life. Cherish them while they're there, And when it's time to, part let them go with gratitude, not regret. So does this mean the door for Dakota is still open? Or is Chris truly ready to step into a brand new chapter? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Chris Martin's journey is far from over, and the next chapter may be his most inspiring yet. If you want to keep following Chris Martin's story and his next big moves, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the big plan he just revealed? Because this story has only just begun. Chris leans back in his chair for a moment, as if replaying the past few years in his mind. He begins. People always think musicians live in a world of constant excitement. Tour buses, exotic cities, endless applause. But the truth is, between those bright moments, there's a lot of quiet, a lot of time to think. And in those quiet moments, you face yourself. He explains that during his relationship with Dakota, those quiet moments were often filled with a sense of stability, a rare gift in the whirlwind of a musician's life. She understood the chaos, he says with a small chuckle. Not everyone can handle a partner who disappears for weeks or months on tour. But she never tried to change that about me. She accepted it, and I'll always respect her for that. But even with acceptance, life has its own rhythms. Sometimes two people's paths run parallel for a while and then they diverge. Chris compares it to songwriting. You can be halfway through a song and realize this isn't the melody it's meant to have. You can try forcing it, but the song won't feel right. And that's when you have to make the hardest choice. Rewrite it or let it go. For a brief moment, there's a silence in the room. The camera captures his hands fidgeting with the edge of his sleeve, a subtle tell that even now, speaking about this isn't easy. It doesn't mean the song was bad, he continues. It just means it was meant to be a part of a bigger album, one that keeps evolving. Then his tone shifts, warmer, more energized, as he talks about what's next. Aside from Coldplay's tour and his Dream Arts Center, Chris hints at another project, one shrouded in secrecy. I can't say too much yet, he grins, but it's something I've wanted to do for years. It's going to involve music, film, and a lot of collaboration with artists I admire. And it's going to be, well, let's just say a little unexpected for me. He pauses just enough for viewers to lean closer, curious. Sometimes you have to surprise even yourself, he says. That's how you keep moving forward. When asked if the breakup has changed his perspective on love, Chris nods thoughtfully. Absolutely. I think the world teaches us to measure love by how long it lasts, but I've realized that the value of love isn't in its length, it's in its depth. Some relationships might last a lifetime, some might last a season. But if you gave your best self in that time, then it was worth it. His words carry a quiet wisdom, the kind that only comes from living through both breathtaking highs and crushing lows. And as he speaks, you can't help but notice that while there's an undeniable sadness in his voice, there's also gratitude. And that gratitude feels more powerful than the grief. The conversation drifts to his bandmates, who, according to Chris, have been like brothers through every chapter of his life. They've seen me at my best and my absolute worst, he says, smiling. When you've been in a band for over 20 years, it's more than just music. It's family. And they've been a huge part of keeping me grounded through all of this. He also talks about the fans, millions around the globe, who've supported him through every album, every tour, every personal milestone. I can't put into words how much they mean to me. Sometimes I'll be in a crowd singing my heart out and I'll see someone in the front row crying, not because they're sad, but because the song means something deeply personal to them. And in that moment, we're connected in a way that goes beyond artist and audience. That's the magic of music. Chris then circles back to Dakota briefly, but with unmistakable sincerity. I hope she knows that I'll always be rooting for her wherever life takes her. And I hope the same is true for me, because no matter what, she's been an important part of my story. And I hope she knows that I let. Finally, as the interview draws to a close, Chris delivers one last thought, a kind of closing verse to this intimate, unscripted conversation. In music, there's something called a rest. It's a pause between notes. Without it, the melody would feel overwhelming. I think life works the same way. This is my rest. But the next note is coming, and I'm going to play it with everything I've got. The camera lingers on him for a beat longer before fading out, leaving viewers with a mix of melancholy, hope, and anticipation. And as the screen fades to black, one thing is certain. Chris Martin's story is still being written, and the most beautiful chapters may be yet to come. So, now it's your turn. What do you think about Chris's plans and his heartfelt reflections? Could this be the start of a whole new era for him? Drop your thoughts below. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And stay tuned, because this journey is far from over.